where it's overlap right here. Then once you start cutting it, and then just butt it up, and then weld it, and then the strip will just fall down. You know what I mean? We're gonna spread it out, and then once we get all this intact, and then we're just gonna make a pork chop, and then yeah, we'll roll it. We'll get a big piece, probably from wherever this tells us if we know that we need, and then we'll just probably replace this whole. Yeah. Because I don't think if we push anymore, it's just going to suck this in. If we put any more pressure, push it up, it just suck this in. And this needs to still come out about right there. And then right here, hopefully we can just push all this out. See right here, this little gap. And hopefully we just push it and then just tag it to that. That way, like, you know, like here. If not, then we'll just make a little piece. It'll be from here to here. You know, it'll be a big piece. So I'd say we do some relief cuts. After the relief cuts, well, let's try to put the side with the sides in the back window. Once we do the back window, it's going to tell us how to relief cut it. You know what I mean? Instead of relief cutting it first and then trying to pull it, like if we cut it here to here and pull this out only, and this will be our flop, but we got to replace all that anyways.
Yeah, because that's, I mean, if we want to relief cut it, we'd have to start up here. Because that's where it's starting
to bow in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
And we'll measure from the front of the quarter panel to the back. I like it right there. We're just gonna get this, get somebody working on the radius, and then we can work on that. So yeah, you guys are happy with that? Yeah, we'll just get the shape almost there, and then we'll relief cut it, get everything squared up. Do 15, then 12, and then 9. Look at those. There should be enough relief. If not, we'll cut it out wider. But let's start with that and see if that gives us what we need. Yeah, and if not, we'll just cut it out a little bit more this way. Because we won't be able to get all this up, you know what I mean? We'll end up making a pork chop right here. Oh, yeah. Shit. I've done this before. No, that looks excellent. Oh, yeah, the back piece is genius. Yeah. We have to relief cut it. That way we can get this to come out. It just doesn't even need that much. Shrink. Everywhere we fold, that's where it needs to be shrank. You know what I mean? Fold, and then right here needs to be shrank, and then right here. That's pretty good, maybe. Pretty much when you're making a shape, like when you got to roll something out in the English wheel, you use paper as a template. You can use poster board. It's a little bit harder to fold and bend. But basically, everywhere where you see it wrinkled is where we're going to look. Like right here, this gap, it'll be shrank right here. We'll have to shrink it in order to get the curve. So, and then also the curve, you have to keep this and kind of know where you're gonna roll it in order to get your curve. You know what I mean? In this case, I'll be having to roll it back and forth in order to get this curvature. Because if I do it long ways this way, it's gonna curve it that way. You see what I mean? So this window channel right here, the inside, just clean that up a little bit with the file belt. You know what I mean? Just to knock off some of that paint, and then go ahead and weld that. Weld it up here. Yeah. Then once you weld this in and that in, both sides, and then we can take this ratchet strap off. So pretty much I picked this die. It doesn't give us the roundness that we need, but it's close. So we're just gonna creep up to it because I don't want to do too much. It's real easy to go too far, too much. And then you're like, oops, I gotta cut another piece. So we'll creep up to it. Barely touching to start with, you know. So to get the roundness curve that I need, which is here, and I need this to roll, I'm gonna have to go sideways in order to get this to start curving in. And then once we do, we can roll the top to, roll it the opposite direction. But for now, I need this to round, you know what I mean? So in order to round it super hard, especially pieces like this, because you literally have to just back and forth it, you know what I mean? And then get a little bit tighter, because it's just gonna be moving slowly. Yeah, my thing's not. I normally have sandbags. You put a little bit of pressure on it too, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to get this to crown, so I'm putting a little bit of pressure pushing down, but not a whole lot. I want to bend it because I want it to gradually bend it over the wheel a little bit as you're rolling it. And this will roll it.
Now, do you want to stay away from going off of the edge, or in some instances it's okay to go all the way to the edge?
Yeah, no, in some instances it's okay, but if we can stay away from the edge, it'd be better. Okay, so and then
What do your lines mean?
my lines mean that my English roll needs to come this way, so I can roll this in, and then I'm gonna hit it here to be able to curve it. You know what I mean? Once I start rolling it up and down, it's to start bringing it in. You know what I mean? Because the way I'm coming back and forth here, see, I was around in this way. So when I do back and forth here, it's gonna bring all this in, because I need all this to come in from here to there. You know.
Okay.
So how are you gonna roll this center if you roll this first? So are you gonna roll this center first?
I would probably start here and start getting this curve, and then once I do that, then I'll come in here and I'll start rolling it, and it'll start curving it in.
So if
bringing
you
this
do
in.
this more, would that still lay this down?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, it will. But like if you see right here, I'm already starting to peak a little bit higher than what this is.
Okay.
So now I'm going to move it up more. That way, I'm not making this crown anymore.
I have a peak here. It'll
Right.
flow through there. I understand.
It should just flow all the way back.
Just
Yeah.
like that.
Because sometimes if I could bend this and get this shape,
Right here.
sometimes I could just by hand bend this without having to wheel it, And as long as it sits flat, and I think we'll be good. So
And then trim it out. Go through and
trim it right, and then we'll trim out what we need exactly. That way we don't put a big ridiculous piece, and we could just get away with doing small.
pieces. Yes, sir. So I use.
Very nice. Just that it needs to be shrinked in the center. I could probably just use my little shrinker and try it, but I'm only getting in an inch. You know what I mean? Now this you gotta be super careful, 'cause this thing will shrink it. Yeah. Luckily, my shrinker's the old shrinker. Yeah. So basically, when we set it down, it was high. So to bring it down, we have to shrink it, because other than that, we'd have to cut it and then splice over and then weld it. It's a lot of work. So to keep that from happening, you can shrink it and it brings it in. See, I made it shrink too much right there. So easy to shrink. Well, I mean, I can stretch it back out, but that's just how careful you have to be. I should have just did one. I should have did one pass and then checked it, and then yeah. So man, see it moving. All right. Keep going right here.
That
All my
spot.
holes. Huh?
That spot.
Yeah, I gotta get this to come down. There we go. It went from this big to this big.
Yeah.
We could shrink that with the.
With the what?
torch. Heat it up right here, shrink it down. Basically, we'll develop some heat and then quench it with some water, and it'll just pull everything in
Okay.
and suck this down. Yeah, now we're moving. So it's getting there. So basically, all the high spots come through, shrink it down. It's another way of doing it instead of using the torch. Torch, everything works great. The shrinking is not going to work as much as the torch, but the small detail where it matters,
So that's the
that's
cleanup.
where this comes in. All right, here it is. These are the steps that I did. First, I cut the drip well off, shaved off. Secondly, I removed this little vent window. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. We're gonna get rid of it forever, just temporarily gone. Window's gone. Next, we wanted to make it a hard top, so we ended up cutting, I don't know if you can see my little line, but we cut above the trim line into there. Same here, we just cut right above this. Put this down. So I'll go ahead and do that. Well, we also cut it here too, because I wanted my door to look like a door. When we swing it open, just this part will come out and all this will stay. Before we cut, we had to come in here, make sure the door's lined up, and we welded these two panels together.
Here, try this one.
Okay. We welded this together. Someone's gonna put some spot welds here just so y'all know that this is welded. And now it's a part of the roof. So after we welded it, and then we cut it. Cut it there. And then I cut it here. We remove the pillar, the B pillar or the post. Now I can use a piece of it to attach there, as you see. And I could use another piece of it for the bottom to attach there. But we're not there yet. Now this is trimmed here, so now this is my door. When it opens, all this will stay there. Next, what we did, once this was welded and cut out, we came through right here and we cut this post right here was being straight. We just cut it here. Okay. And then we ended up cutting our little thing back here. The back of the window, so we could reuse this somewhere else. We cut this out. So remember, we're going to reuse this piece, so we're just going to put it to the side. After we did that, went on ahead and cut it. See my crown, I always cut it in the center of the crown because what I'm hoping to do is to be able to slide this under the roof and we don't have to worry about, you know, trying to make it flow, because once we put this under the roof it flows. So anyways, we brought this down, I don't know, a couple inches, 3.5 actually. And once we brought it down 3.5 inches, and then I came back here and I trimmed this underneath the window above the chrome. And when I say I trimmed this probably about 3 inches under the glass on both sides. Once that happened, I was able to just lay this down, attach all my pieces. Well, there we go. Trim this, a little window, because now that this has came down, we're going to make this shorter. So I'm just going to see if I don't cut it. Bring this down a little more. Put that back in there. Most hard tops come into a straight point, but I like the roundness, so we kept the roundness in it. Moved our window there. And then we just pretty much had to make a cell panel. And we put it there. But that's pretty much the idea on how we do the chops. I always use a sheet of paper and I cut them up, and it pretty much tells me where everything needs to go. This tucked perfectly under this, and it flowed perfectly, and that's pretty much it. That's what you guys see in the pictures of how the chop went. So hope you guys learned, but this is pretty much the way I do every car. And I'll get it and I'll play with it until I like it, and then once I see something I like, and then I'll build it. So that's it.